Hi there, my name is Caroline Mercer, and if you're here watching this, welcome to my little podcast that I call the Mercer Knits Podcast. I talk here about knitting, spinning. I'm going to talk about some sewing today, and any other crafts that kind of capture my attention, because I need an outlet to talk about these crafts, otherwise I will go insane. So that is what I'm here to do. Yeah, and I just kind of ramble on for a little bit. So if you're here, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is a finished object, and this is my orchard dress by Vivian, Shao, Chen. Hold on. Let me kind of It is a very kind of like shapeless gathered dress. It kind of reminds me of the Hinterland dress by So Liberated, I think. It has buttons down the front. I sewed this up last week, and I just managed to finish it the other day. We are having a bit of a heat wave here, so I'm glad I finished it up because I cannot make myself sew when it's hot. So yesterday I removed all my little basting stitches, and I unfortunately patched up some spots that got a little wonky. Because I'm a pretty new sewist, so I patched up some weird spots. Maybe you can see them, doesn't really matter. And yeah, I did modify this dress. You can't tell, but it has, I added some kind of pin tucks around the hem, or hem tucks, I guess. And I made it longer. So I had 3 yards of this linen from fabricstore.com. Love them if you're into linen, and especially solid linens. Check it out. Definitely some of the most affordable linen I have found, especially if you get the white and dye it yourself. This I bought on sale, so it was already dyed, but I tend to get the white and go to the effort of getting RIT dyes and dye it myself. And I have quite a few linen skirts over there that I dyed myself, and they were probably only like $30 for the 3 yards of fabric or whatever, which is really nice. So this one, I only had 3 yards, and for my size to knit the longer one with the ruffle, I probably needed at least 4 yards. Sorry, I have a light because it's also really gloomy. We have all our windows closed, and it's reflecting on my glasses. But yes, so I knew I didn't have enough yardage to do a ruffle, but I also knew that the shorter dress length was gonna hit me right at my knees, which is not my favorite. I could have hemmed it shorter, but I don't really want a shorter dress. I kind of like midi length dresses personally. So what I did, I made the knee length, and then I took my extra length of fabric and I figured out what I would have to do to get it to match up with the width of my skirt, which it was pretty perfect for. Actually, if I just cut it in half, I could get a piece long enough. So then I sewed that on, and then from there I did my little pin tucks because I knew I didn't have enough for a ruffle, but I also didn't necessarily want a ruffle. I just wanted some sort of bottom detailing, and doing these hem tucks also hid the seam from where I put the second panel on. So worked out really well. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm super pleased. I completely encased all my seams using French seams, so it's beautiful in here. Believe it or not, there are probably more spots where I had to like fix little errors on the outside than there are on the inside, which I think a lot of times it's the other way around. Not for this dress. There's a couple wonky spots, but I don't really mind that. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. So yeah, this is my most recent finished object. I'm really happy with it. It's just, I wanted a really flowy, comfortable summer dress because I have, I think the dress I was wearing in my last episode, the green dress that is also linen, that has long poofy sleeves. That one I love, but I don't know if I could really make myself wear it in the summer. I guess we'll find out. This is the first summer where I've had that tailored and I've been happy to wear it. So maybe this summer I will wear it, and maybe I should have done something else with this green linen, since I remember thinking to myself, don't make a dress with that because you already have a green dress. But here I am, I did it. Yeah, happy with it. And I would definitely like more. I think this gave me the confidence. I think the next dress I make, I might do a little more fitted, especially in the waist. There's the Basque dress by, I think it's Stitch Witch Patterns. I think I'll put it in the description box if I find it. That dress I think is really stunning. Would love that one. I just think I need to evaluate my fabric stash. I don't think I have a big chunk of fabric left anymore, especially not linen. So that's what I tend to sew with the most, is linen. So I probably need to replenish my fabric stash. I have a ton of wool, but I cannot even think of sewing with that in the summer. I don't think. Hopefully this fall I will have the energy and the inspiration to sew with it, because I have at least one big chunk of wool that I wanted to make a dress with. I have another really pretty kind of plaid that I wanted to make trousers with, and I think I have the pattern for the bisque trousers, also by Vivian Shao Chen, and I think that wool would be perfect for those trousers. The question would be whether I need to line them, and in that case I'd need to find something to use as a lining. I don't think I'd want to use polyester, which means my option is probably like silk. That's very expensive, so we'll see. And then I have another fabric that would be perfect for a jacket. So again, I love Vivian Shao Chen's patterns. If you can't tell, I have her Daphne jacket pattern. So I was thinking about seeing if I have enough of that to make a Daphne jacket. And I have this beautiful pumpkin colored wool, which I don't need another pumpkin skirt, but I have two. You can literally see both of them right there. There's one there, oh, one there, and there's one there. And I remember when I got the more pumpkin-y, the less vivid orange, I mean, I dyed both of them, but when I dyed the second one, my mom was like, don't you already have an orange skirt? And I was like, well, this one's a different orange. So anyway, I have plans for all that wool. I just need to get the energy to actually sew with it, because sewing, I tend to set up in my living room, so I have to like get everything ready, and then I just have to bust it out. Like that project has to happen, start and finish, because I'm not putting away all of the sewing stuff if I'm in the middle of a project, and my family will murder me if I leave it on the table for very long. So that's kind of my issue with sewing. Yeah, this is my most recent project. Let's see. I think I had one of these finished, maybe in my last video, but they're done. These are the second breakfast shorties that I made into knot shorties. And yeah, this was my first one. The picot edge isn't the neatest, I think, yeah, because this is the stretchy one. So I decided for the second one to not bind off at the same time as, like, not sew it down at the same time as binding off. I did it later, and I thought I was doing it loose, but it's not. This is about as wide as it'll stretch. So what I'm thinking I need to do is undo the whip stitching and redo it and just stretch it out more while I do it, because I didn't think it was going to bother me, but I have really only worn these socks once since I finished them, which is way less than all my other socks. So that tells me that I do find it annoying. I find it annoying enough that I don't reach for these. The time I wore them, look at already how intensely, well, this is because I wear them with dogs, but this bit of the fabric looked like this before. And to be fair, I wore them to the Shepherd's Harvest Wool Festival here in Minnesota. So I was doing a lot of walking, and that is why they look like this. But I'm okay with it. I like it. And I have some stuff to talk about from the Shepherd's Harvest, because one of my whips is using some fiber from that. So I'm really, really excited about that. Another finished object, I need to trim the ends on this guy still, was a very, like, spontaneous cast on, just out of the blue. Kat Weaver from Heather and Hops did this one, and I was like, that's it, I need it. And I have so many mohair scraps in my stash that I was like, you can make this with scraps. So I did. This is the Ghost Whisperer top, and I followed a very similar modification to what Kat did. I basically did what Kat said she did. She didn't give a concrete like step by step, like this is how I modified the sleeves, but it's a pretty simple modification. So this is she. It is using, this is leftover knitting for olive mohair in fennel seed from my Ingrid sweater. This is leftover, this was in the shade Wild Lupin, and it's from Coastal Yarns in Cannon Beach. So this is some pretty special yarn that I bought when I was on vacation last year, and I'm happy that I got to use some more of it. I still have another small chunk of it left. And then this other color that I used, which I also still have a tiny chunk of left, was my Spring Meadow from Fabel Knitwear, which is also a special yarn. This is in my Airy cardigan. So I was really happy I got to use all these. I thought they worked really well together. This one's a little dark, and I think the other ball I have of it is super purple. So here it is. This is how different the skeins were. Now you see why I alternated skeins while knitting my Friday slipover V-neck, because this is how different they were, which is pretty insane. So there were parts where I used this one and parts where I just used this one. I didn't use this one at all for the sleeves, but I did, I think, twice for the body, because I didn't mind the purple. So, and then the other little chunk of this I had a lot more blue in it, so I mostly used that one. And this is she. I think it's super cute on. In particular, I am not going to wear it. It is 85 in my house right now. We are not putting in the air conditioner until later in the month. So we're just dealing with it because I think the weather's about to go back down to the 70s next week. So we're just suffering right now. So I'm not gonna wear it, but this is she. I really want more of them, but what I do think I need in order to get the most use out of this is some like tiny crop top bralette type things, like my little secret crop by Jessie Mae Designs. So I need to get yarn to knit one of those, and I could use scraps, but I don't have enough like cohesive scraps in a color that I would want to be striped for something like that. I don't think so. That, when I'm on my trip, if I go into yarn stores, that is something I will be looking for, is 2 skeins of DK weight yarn to knit one of those, and maybe just get a couple colors to knit those out of, because I think they'd be really useful as layering pieces for me. So I like the idea of them, and I would like to knit one. What else? And I don't know if I showed this last time. I don't think I was done with this last time. This is my finished Handspun. I have a thing of it caked up, and I've started knitting with it. This is a 100% Coriadale blend that I got off of the Woolery, and it's in this kind of marled colorway, a dark brown and a cream color. And I spun this up. This was the thinnest spin to date that I've done. It's about a DK weight, but some areas it gets quite chunky, but some areas it also gets quite thin. You know, it's hand spun. So this is, for me, pretty consistent. I'm very happy with it, and I am knitting with it, which is why I have it caked up right here. And I think it looks pretty crazy. It looks very thick and thin here. It's not that bad, I swear to God. It's about a DK weight, or maybe a little thicker than that, but I'm knitting it in a DK weight pattern, which, let me grab. This might not be the best yarn for this pattern, but I liked the pattern and I wanted to use the yarn, so I went with it. And this is my Hedgerow shawl from Fox and Folk. It just looks like this. It has this little pattern on it, which you can barely see. Like I said, this is not the best yarn to do this project in, but if you hold it like this, it's like a little flower pattern that repeats, and you can kind of see it, but you also kind of can't, and I just don't really care. I think a 3-ply would have worked better for this project. This is a 2-ply, but I don't really care. It's not that deep to me, if you can see this. I'm kind of fine with it just being a little garter stitch shawl. So this is my first skein. They're all about 200 yards, I would say. 250 is around the average. The biggest skein I have is 276 about. Again, I measured these using my Nitty Naughty and I just did the math. So might be longer, might be shorter. I'm hoping that I have enough, because this is how far I got with my first skein. And what am I trying to say? I know for a fact in the pattern that I think there will be 20 repeats of this floral motif, and I've done 2. So I'm hoping this gets me through my 3rd one. And then I have this tiny little mini skein that I used to swatch with. I've kept my swatches. I think I have 2 swatches of this guy, because I either went down or went up a needle size. One or the other. But that is what I'm working on with my Handspun, and I'm very excited. This pattern, you cast on your total number of stitches and you work down. So I'm just hoping it gets faster and faster and faster until it's done. And I will be so happy to finally have a shawl. Right now, it seems insane. I don't even really want to touch it just because it's hot, but I'm very excited about this yarn, and I'm very excited about having this shawl, because I think like every single day when I go staggering downstairs, if it's kind of cool out and I have like a blanket, a ratty old blanket like around my shoulders, and I always think, wow, this could be a shawl. And you're a pretty prolific knitter, so it should be a shawl, and that would look so much better than this ratty old blanket. But that's life. So that is one of my whips. I have another whip here, which I'm really excited about. These are my another pair of Mountain Walk socks by Florence Mills, and this is the colorway Monster Mash from, oh my goodness, I think I'm spacing. Let me, ooh, hold on. Yeah, Naughty Pine Fiber Co. I'm just gonna take this out, that's fine. By Naughty Pine Fiber Co. The shape Monster Mash. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to finally be knitting up these. I've had them since like October, November, and I haven't touched them. So they were always I always kind of looked at them as like special yarns. And finally I was like, no, I'm planning on taking at least 2 things of sock yarn with me on my trip. So I was like, well, I felt like having a little sock. I didn't want to work on any of the projects I had cast on. I think I cast this on before I cast on my shawl. So I just cast it on and I was like, this will be very vibey to knit with in the Pacific Northwest. And then I think the other color I'm gonna bring with me, which is Another Glorious Morning, I think that will also feel very vibey to be knitting with there and camping. I just feel like autumnal colors suit it very well. So I've started this. We'll see. I'm not bringing it on the plane. I would love to, but I have metal needle tips and I don't want to risk losing these metal needle tips because these are my Chow Goo minis and I would cry. So if they took away my needle tips. So I'm gonna bring my shawl as my plain knitting probably, or another project that I'll talk about in a second, or I guess I can talk about it right now, which is my Eowyn blouse in the Deep Breath Before the Plunge. This is my swatch. I might have had this finished the last time. In fact, I might have already had that cast on the last time. However, I have since frogged it because I did something very foolish and I knit the entire ribbing with the wrong needle size. The entire ribbing was done with the needles that I will be using to knit the body, which are 3.25 millimeter needles. Which, wait, that might not be right. I might have swapped these into my smallest ones in case I cast on again without paying attention. I don't know what needle size I'm using to, wait. Does it? No, I haven't put any indication on my swatch. It's in my Ravelry notes. But yeah, I did it all with way too big of a needle. So I think the pattern recommends a 3mm needle. So what I might do for that is cast on with my 3mm wooden needles, which are not Chow Gu, and then swap into my middle Chow Gus once I get to the body, which I think going from wooden to metal won't be that bad since I'm trying to knit the ribbing tighter anyway. That's my logic there. So I might do that, and then if I do decide to do that, then I'll probably bring that on the plane and try to whip out that ribbing, because it's 8 centimeters of ribbing. I'm so mad at myself. I was so mad when I found out, and I was like trying to justify it. I was like, no, this yarn you have hyped up way too much. I placed another order for more of it because I'm a sick, twisted person, and I hate myself, like my own budget. But in the second Lord of the Rings pre-order that Long Dog Yarn was doing, that yarn's from Long Dog Yarn, she included mohair, and I was like, well, shoot, that sucks for me, because now I have to buy some mohair, because my other project I was going to use, I bought 5 skeins of that yarn for her, from her first pre-order, and the second project I was going to do was the Lento, and I was going to pair it with Cloud, which I have in my stash from Knitting for Olive, but if she's releasing a mohair in that color, then why would I do that? So I ordered that mohair, and then I was like, that's it, that's all you're getting. I also ordered 2 skeins of DK to knit My Little Secret Crop by Jessie May, and I was like, that's it, that's all you get. And then I placed another order for more mohair to knit another one of these, and for sock yarn, because of that. Okay, I was having a weak day, clearly, we can all tell. But I was like, wouldn't it be so cool if I just had like a whole set of clothes in this colorway? So I'll have like a Lento, I'll have a t-shirt, I'll have a little crop top, and I'll have a wispy little mohair top, and I'll have socks. And I was like, the only thing I would need is like a skirt or a pair of shorts, and I could wear an entire deep breath before the plunge fit. Obviously not gonna do that last bit, unless, I don't know, she could always bring back on like an encores thing, just bring back that colorway, and then maybe I'd be tempted. But I've never knit a skirt or anything, so I don't know if I would actually do it. I might be able to convince myself out of it, because maybe by the time I've knit everything that I have in this colorway, which I also have boucle to knit a pillow, by the time I do that, I might be really sick of it. So we'll see what I do. So that is a soon-to-be whip. It's as a whip on my Ravelry, but nothing really has happened with her, because I unwound it and then I was like, I'm just gonna put that aside for a little bit. I'm gonna take a break, I'm gonna take a sec to recoup from that. And I had other things I was working on, like this guy just needed sleeves, and I was like, this is stupid, just finish that. It really shouldn't take you that long, and you should finish one of these like garment pieces that you're working on before you go to Seattle. So that is what I did. Speaking of other whips, I have this guy here, this little fellow that I'm so close to finishing, and I still haven't finished. And can anyone explain to me why? He's almost completely seamed. He's just headless and tailless. His tail is right here. This is Hugo the zebra. Look at how cute he is. He also needs, I need to do his little nose pieces, and I need to give him button ears, but one of his ears is a little wonky, but I think it makes him look cute. I also don't know how I'm going to attach his neck, his head, to his body, but you know, that's a problem for the future. The reason I haven't done this is because I'm like, well, I need to add all the fringe on the head and the fringe on the tail, and believe it or not, I need an index card or something vaguely index card sized to measure out all of those little fringies, and literally that is what has held me back. So I need to finish this weekend because I'm leaving next Thursday, and I wanted this done before I go because her baby shower is next week. So I want her to have this during her baby shower, and I need to knit his overalls, and I have the yarn right here, and I haven't even touched it. So this needs to become a priority. That's all I'm gonna say. But I love him, he's very cute. And I want to knit another one for my other cousin. Not the zebra, I want to knit the tiger, but I'm gonna do that maybe when I get back. I have the yarn behind me, but sorry, his head just bounced away. I need to do it, and clearly that one's taking me forever, so I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna even pressure myself to start the tiger yet. Other whips, I think that's it. I think that's all the whips I have, except for my spinning. Yeah, I mean, I have the East Wind jacket, that's a forever whip. I'm not gonna touch that for a little while. I'm not bringing it with me to Portland or Seattle or, you know, that whole area, the Pacific Northwest that I'm traveling around in. Yeah, that's gonna be a whip that's gonna be on hold for a while. But yeah, that's all the whips I have right now. And then I can show you the beautiful fiber that I got when I was at the Shepherd's Harvest Festival. It is this. Oh my god, it looks, how does it look this good on camera? Believe it or not, it's even more beautiful in real life. This is from Twisted Oak Farm Woolen Mill, which is in, I think they're in, I know with the town in Washburn, this is silly, Spooner, they're in Spooner. In Washburn? In Wisconsin. Washburn is where my dad is from. And I drive through Spooner to get to Washburn, so it makes me think about it. But yeah, I'm 90% sure they're in Spooner. I would say, or they're in Hayward, but I think that would be offensive. So I'm just gonna pick one and go with it. It's Spooner. They're so close that, you know. Anyway, beautiful. I saw this, and for the first time I walked around, I was with a couple friends. They're like, "You're not buying anything." And I was like, "Well, I just kind of want to see. I want to see in case I fall in love with anything." And I'm glad I did that, because I saw this and I like gasped, and I started talking to Carissa. Yeah, Carissa about it, and it's this like darker oatmeal colored fiber that she overdyed to make this super rich, stunning color. And it's kind, believe it or not, it's a little washed out. Like, I think if I hold it back here, you can see how rich it is. I'm so excited. I had to start spinning this immediately. So I got back from that and I finished this spin so fast, because I was like, not only do I want to knit with that, but I want to start spinning this. And this took all 4 of my bobbins, then I needed one more bobbin to apply it. So I was like, until this is off my wheel, and I think I still had half of the fiber to finish. I was like, until that's off my wheel, I can't spin this. So I spun the rest of that up lickety split, and then I started this. So I have 2 2-ounce chunks of it. So it was 2 braids like this that I bought. So the first braid I'm spinning right now, I'm spinning it pretty fine. I think the WPI scale, it's like 32 wraps per inch is what I'm spinning it, 32, 34 right now, with like obviously slightly thicker chunks in there, because this is quite the fibers feel a little like tangled, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't, it can be kind of hard to like separate them out, and sometimes like little chunks will get through, and they're all so tangled around each other that I can't really draft it out any further. So I think it's going to be a bit of a schlubby yarn. I'm okay with that. I'm hoping it'll be a fingering weight, and I'm thinking I'll probably either knit a hat with it, or I might try to knit the mitten liners from Knits About Winter, if it's enough yarn or enough yardage for those, because I have a really, really pretty yarn from Anthology Yarn Co. to knit the Persephone mittens in, and I just am dreaming of having the Persephone mittens and the little mitten liners from that book together. And I was thinking about doing either a blue for the mitten liners or an orange, and this is such like a rich, nice tone that I love her. So that's the first fiber I bought. I was pretty good. I told my friends under no circumstance were they allowed to let me buy a fleece. I have no way of really processing it. And at this next stall, she almost convinced me, because she was like, you can spin directly from, once you wash these, you can basically spin straight from it. And she had these little like half-pound bags of fleece, like already pre-prepared, and it would say what the breed was and all that jazz. But I ended up not doing it. I was just like, I have so much fiber at home. I don't need to. So next year, that might be something that I look into doing. And I also know places where you can rent a drum carder. So if I really wanted to, I could clean it and then bring it and rent a drum carder to process it. But this year it was not in the cards. I was not going to do it, and I stayed strong to that. But I did buy another top, another roving or whatever. And this is confetti. It's from Get Bent's Farm, milled by Badger Face Fiber. And this is gorgeous, first of all. Like, look at all the colors, because that's Sari silk in it. Ooh. And this has a lot of vegetal matter in it, firstly, which I'm really bad at picking out while spinning. It just kind of ends up in my yarn, if I'm being honest. It's 50-50 Blueface Leicester and Surrey alpaca. I've never spun alpaca, so that's exciting. And then it is also recycled Surrey silk, just in there as well. So she did warn me to wash this with cold water, because apparently the pink is not as color fast as other Sari silks. And she was like, just be aware of that when you knit with it, and be aware of that when you wash your yarn, which I am very grateful for, because I do not want it to all be pink. So I'm hoping to spin this also pretty fine, like a fingering weight or a DK weight. And I also have 4 ounces of this, so I think I'll get 1 skein out of each of these fibers, which is pretty good. It's a very reasonable amount to spin, which I think is nice, considering like this spin, I found myself losing interest. And I have so much fiber that I want to get through that a faster spin is better. So right now, eventually I'll get into more like wanting to spin sweater quantities and stuff. This, yeah, a shawl quantity. I think shawls seem pretty perfect for handspun, just because I'm fine with a shawl being a little knobbly. But yeah, I'm hoping to finish this spin before I leave for Seattle, but I don't know if I will or not, because I have a lot of other things I'm hoping to do before Seattle. So yeah, that is what I've been up to. Trying to think if there's anything else, but I don't really think there is. I think that's kind of everything. I recently got something I've been dreaming of for a very, very long time, which is the Easton Press set of Jane Austen books. So this is Pride and Prejudice. It's leather bound. It's stunning. It's everything I ever wanted. Ooh. So that was a crazy purchase that I very impulsively made in a very weak moment. And I'm not mad about it, but I need to find a home for them, because I don't have a bookshelf that's like visible in my room. All my books are in, there's like a crawl space through this closet, and I have bookshelves in there, and that's where my books are. And I don't think these deserve to be in the dark like that. And I have a cloth bound book up here and another leather bound book on my desk, but this is like 6 big honky leather bound books. So, because even the smallest Jane Austen book, which is Northanger Abbey, is this thick. I mean, compare it to Pride and Prejudice, right? But it's still thick. Like the paperback that I have of Northanger Abbey is little. It's very tiny. So I was like, dang, that is thick for how short that book is. Especially when you consider, I think Northanger Abbey and Persuasion were originally bound. I think they were done together, but I could be wrong. I feel like they were, though, because those were the 2 that were posthumously published. But I'm rambling about Jane Austen. I love those books. I reread them pretty much every year, or I re-listen to the audiobook. So I just re-listened to Mansfield Park, which actually, I think that one might have been my first time actually making it all the way through that, because I struggle with Mansfield Park. I just finished listening to that, and I think before that I might have listened to Sense and Sensibility. I've listened to that audiobook so many times that it's just kind of, all the times kind of blur together. And Persuasion. I did not give a chance for a very long time, and it is one of my favorites. It is so good. It is so good. If you have not given Persuasion a chance, and I'm not talking about the Netflix movie, and I don't think there are really any good movie adaptations of that one. I feel like it's overlooked, just like Northanger Abbey. Northanger Abbey is one of my favorites. Not to say I don't love most of Austen's books. Mansfield Park, I could take it or leave it. I think the incestuous relationship is a little hard to get behind. They're first cousins, and they're also kind of boring characters. I'm sure people love it for their own reasons, but for me, that one's a little dull. Emma also is not one of my favorites, but I do like it. I've grown to like that one. Sense and Sensibility, love, obviously. Pride and Prejudice, love, obviously. Yeah, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion. Those would be my top 4. Emma and Mansfield Park are definitely the bottom 2, and with Emma being above Mansfield Park. But that's my Jane Austen ranking, in case you wanted that. Yeah, this is gonna be my last little video before I get back from the Pacific Northwest. I'll maybe try to film some stuff while I'm there. I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of camping and hiking. I have not been very good about working out, so we'll see how that goes. But at least I have good hiking boots, so it'll be fine. It'll be what it is, you know. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to get a break from work too. I'm feeling kind of burnt out, so that will be very, very nice. I hope everyone else is having a very nice spring/early summer. Sorry, I think I have fluff in my eye. And I hope the weather isn't too hot where you are. I think it's in North America, at least. I think it's been kind of unseasonably warm already. So, and it's supposed to be a hotter summer. In my area, I think they said equal chances, hotter or colder. But this is not boding well for my hope that it would be a colder summer. It's really not. So, yeah. Also, I recently got an MRI. My brain is fine. So that's, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that there were some concerns, but that is a weight off my chest, which is just lovely. When they said my MRI was going to be like a week before I went on this trip, I was like, oh my God, if they find an aneurysm in my brain and I have to get emergency surgery and cancel my trip, I will lose my mind. But no, I'm fine. So that's good. Hopefully no more doctor's visits for me this year. And I think that's enough rambling. I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. It is Friday. I am working all weekend. I'm working every day until I leave. So yeah, I hope everyone else's weekend is really, really nice and you get to make stuff. I'm hoping I make some progress on all of these whips. I have a lot of them right now. It's kind of stressing me out. So wish me luck. Yeah, I hope everyone spends lots of time with their loved ones. And yeah, we have a good month, since I generally post once a month. So goodbye.